my name is Ryan, and this is Kelsey, Charlie, and Ashley, and we are doing a presentation on what you expect is what you get. Basically, what we're going to talk about to you is how teachers' expectations actually change the way a student tests, or their IQ level, which is kind of hand in hand. But Kelsey's going to tell you a little bit more, and then I'll do the concluding part, so enjoy.
Have you ever realized that what your teacher expects from you has affected how you are treated in class and what your overall grade may become? A student's background information will most likely affect the teacher's expectations and how the teacher treats individual students. Studies have shown that for lower grade levels, teachers can directly impact the overall achievement based on what the teacher expects of the student. Students who are supposedly smarter than other students are often treated better, which could often result in higher grades from those students and lower grades from the other students. Today we will be explaining instances where what you expect is what you get. Today's topic includes the subject of stereotyping. A stereotype is defined as a widely held but fixed and oversimplified image or idea of a particular type of person or thing. Subconsciously, teachers stereotype students based on their intelligence levels. Studies have shown that even with this type of stereotyping, not only do the smart students get treated differently, but also those who may have learning difficulties. The stereotypes teachers place on students will affect what students get out of their education. This subconscious act has a greater impact than most people realize. Have you ever felt that one student got more attention from their teacher than another student? Did you feel that the student benefited from that teacher's expectations? Raise your hand if you've witnessed this type of behavior in one of your classes. Many of the experiences these students had, especially in elementary school, were directly impacted with the expectations teachers had on the intelligence levels of their students. We will be showing you how teachers' expectations differ from one grade level to the next, and what the overall outcome from this is.
This is how researchers arrived at the research question. In 1911, Oscar Funkst began research on Wilhelm von Ostenhorst, Clever Hans. Clever Hans was a horse famous for being able to read, spell, and solve math problems by stomping out answers with his front hoof. Punkst performed a series of careful experiments and found that Hans was actually solving the problems but not receiving subtle, unintentional cues from his questioners. For example, after asking a question, people would look down at the horse's hoof for an answer. As the horse approached the correct number of hoof beats, the questioners would raise their eyes or head very slightly in anticipation of the horse's completing its answer. The horse would have been conditioned to use these subtle movements from the observers as signs to stop stomping, and this usually resulted in the correct answer to the question. This shows that unintentional signals can play a significant role in the feedback from the learner. These cues became synonymous with the observer's preposition and confirmed the results. In another study, students were given a rat. Some were intelligent and others were not. Unintentionally, the students that were told that they had an intelligent rat had the rat go through difficult mazes at an increased speed, and the others did the opposite. However, the rats were all randomly assigned and were all standard lab rats. This shows that the title given to each rat can impact the final outcome of success.
Now we are going to go on to the method. The participants in this study were Oak School students from grades 1 through 6 as well as their teachers. Now I will be explaining the key materials used in this test. Students took an intelligence test at the beginning of the school year containing testable information on nonverbal skills. This test of general ability, TOGA, was unfamiliar to teachers and they did not know the effect it would have on the students. Since the administrators proctored this exam, teachers were more likely to accept this test. So now the procedure starts. The first step, the students were given a nonverbal skills test. Second, the teachers were told that this test was on academic ability. Third, the teachers were given a list of random students that scored higher, often called in this experiment the bloomers. For the fourth step, teachers treated those top students at a higher academic level than those who were supposedly lower. The bloomers should theoretically test the same as the other students not labeled as bloomers because they aren't actually at a higher intelligence level. Teachers were given a deception by the administration in order to give them a false expectation. They were told that the students who scored high and should be in accelerated learning courses. Teachers were given a false list of random students that had not scored the highest. So what did these researchers record? Researchers recorded the results of the intelligence test. The dependent variables were academic level at the beginning of the year, and the control group were the students at Oak School. Again, the researchers were wanting to find how does a bias affect the outcome of students in terms of learning. And how did they answer this question? The same intelligence test was reproctored to see if they changed in scores. Through the results, they learned that the students who were the bloomers scored higher than the others. This shows that the teacher expectancies greatly impacted the final results in the intelligence test. Researchers were able to rule out alternative explanations confidently because the children who were labeled as bloomers scored higher and weren't actually smarter.
So for the results, the predictions that the researchers, they really thought that the kids who were smarter would do better on the test, and the kids who were not as highly expected of would get lower scores, like would everybody predict. The results of the test actually confirmed their thoughts. The results, the bloomers scored significantly higher on the test in the lower grades, but the older the kids got, the less the teacher expectations really affected them. So, I mean, in summation, those who were smarter did better, but in the higher grades it was just because they were smarter. In the lower grades it was because the expectations made them work harder.
As a conclusion, in this chapter, what you expect is what you get. Psychologists study teachers and the expectations they annually put onto their students in grade level classes. These studies, psychologists found that the expectation unknowingly puts the children more forward. Like if a teacher expects more of a child, the child is going to then do better because the child feels the pressure the teacher's putting on them. Even though the teacher doesn't know she or he's doing it, they are doing it. And the other children who aren't as smart or as testing as well aren't going to do as well because they don't feel that sort of pressure or expectation towards them. And the study shows that it's not just the IQ of the child that prohibits them from doing well in school or testing well, it's also the teacher themselves. The information is not only important to students, but also to parents and teachers themselves. Parents need to give their children the proper amount of attention and have achievable expectations when it comes to their children. Meaning, parents need to go through their kids, go through their schooling every night, tell them what they want for them to do, maybe cite some vocab words, do a little handwriting on the side. This will ensure the children that they're getting their proper attention they need from their parents for not only loving attention, but also scholastic attention as well, which will help the children succeed more. Also, teachers need to be aware of this as well because even though they don't mean to do it, they still do it and it still puts a big effect on a child. The younger they are, the more moldable their minds are going to be, which means it's going to have a greater effect on them. So teachers need to be aware of this because what they are doing is causing a problem for younger students. And lastly, the students themselves should be aware of this because even us today, we were affected by it. We're all pretty smart. We go to Augie, so I guess we kind of have the higher IQs, and we got here. But what about the people below us? Those people could have been affected, and they could have been here possibly and not have gone here because of what happened unknowingly from the teacher to us. In a more recent study done in 2001, the study done in an urban elementary school, 365 fifth graders participated to determine teacher expectancy effects. The year-end achievement exams, the teachers were given false information about the students, saying that the smartest of the group were actually the smarter ones and the dumber ones were, the dumber ones, but actually it was kind of flip-flop. And the teachers who focused more on the smarter ones actually excelled more than the said dumber students did. And that's not because their IQs were higher, but because they had more attention from the teacher and more expectancy and push towards the teacher to do well. So our call to action is that we ask all students, parents, and teachers to be aware of this fact again and to realize what's happening and possibly put into it. So.